Okay, so a lot of people ask how to get into Legacy, and not only that, but they want to know how to get into Legacy the cheap way, because obviously it's a very expensive format. Now, I'm going to recommend to you one of the most popular budget decks in the format, which is Jund. We're going to start with the cards in ascending value orders. We'll start with the cheapest, finishing off with the most expensive, and then we're going to have a running total somewhere, and the cards will come up so that you can read them if you don't know what they do. And I'll explain a little bit what they do, but I'm gonna run through it because it's mainly a deck list rather than anything else. So we start off with Punishing Fire. It's a fantastic kill spell. It's a fantastic way to apply pressure. It ensures you have the late game, and most of all, it's worth about 50 cents. You can get these very cheap. Although the land that it combines with is fairly expensive, but it's Legacy. You're going to be dropping a little bit of money, so forgive me if this list goes fairly expensive. Our next cheapest card is Bloodbraid Elf, which rolls in at about $3 each. We're going to run 3 of them because 4 is too many, 2 is too little. It cascades you into any card below 4 cost, and this is probably the most expensive thing you'll ever run in a Jund deck in Legacy. So it basically casts a spell from your deck for free, and none of them are bad to get given. Our next card clocks in at $5, but it's an incredible card. It's Deathrite Shaman. If you remember, he destroyed Modern until he got banned, but you can still play him in Legacy, which is fantastic. He interacts with the graveyard favourably, he interacts with Snapcaster Mage favourably, and he messes up flashback spells, and he can win you the mirror match with another Punishing Jund deck by eating their Punishing Fire from the graveyard as they try and bring it back to their hand. You would do it in response to the Grove of the Burmoil's life gain trigger rather than anything else, or just keep paying mana. Our next card comes in at $5 as well. It's Hymn to Tarak. It's one of the strongest 2-for-1s in the game. It discards 2 of their cards randomly, so it annihilates combo decks, it really hurts control decks, and it can practically win you any matchup, especially when your opponent really values their cards and you've spent 1 card to get rid of 2 of theirs, but not only 2 of theirs, but 2 of theirs at random. So if you hit, say, 2 of their lands, that really cripples them. Our next card comes in at $10, but it's unfortunately unnecessary because of its uncounterable kill spells for 2 mana that you can cascade into off of the Bloodbraid Elf, and you can get rid of troublesome permanents, troublesome enchantments against miracles for a very wallet-friendly cost. And the next cheapest card comes in at $20, but it's the way that we fix our mana base. This is Bloodstained Mire. In Legacy with your dual lands, it's extremely important to get fetch lands because you can bring in any land untapped practically and have all the mana you need. Our next card is $30, so we only run 3 of them. It's Thoughtseize. This will win you games against combo. It will help you strip answers from your opponent's hand. You'll look at their hand, you'll look at your hand, and you will predict how the game will go if things remain as they do. But obviously people top deck cards, but then you Hymn to Tarak their cards away from them. But it allows you to plan the game and strip your opponent of their most important cards in the matchups. Our next card comes in at $35 each. It's Dark Confident. You might be able to get him cheap. He was recently reprinted in Modern Masters. This guy is a card advantage machine. If not that, then he's a removal bait and he makes way for your more important creatures, which is perfectly fine to have. He's a great 2-drop if you don't have Hymn to Tarak. If he draws you a Hymn to Tarak, you're laughing. Our next card comes in at $60 each. It's a playset of Verdant Catacombs, because again, you really need to have your colour fixing. You want to be able to search up any lands in any colours that you want whenever you want them, and Verdant Catacombs is in 2 of our most important colours, although the red is very important. I think black is the most important because say we need to cast our Hymn to Taraks. The next card in our list just recently dropped to $50 a piece. It's Wasteland after it was reprinted or threatened to be reprinted in Eternal Masters, I believe it was. This will deny your opponent's mana base, this will shut them down, this will punish them for having greedy mana bases. This card can just flat out win games, and it also interacts very favourably with decks that rely on utility lands such as ourselves. Speaking of which, our utility lands are 4 expensive $70 Grove of the Burnwillows. This has an ability to tap for red mana, gain your opponent a life, which then brings back Punishing Fire, which would deal them 2 damage, effectively dealing them 1 damage a turn or killing all of their stuff until they concede from sadness. Our next playset of cards is a set of cards which can be used as both removal but also direct damage to the face if you need that little bit of extra reach. They're never bad cards in pretty much any format they're legal in. It's a set of lightning bolts. And then we break 3 figures with our Sido removal spell, but also card advantage engine, which is Liliana of the Veil. The idea is that you draw 1, maybe 2 cards a turn, and then you play them both, and then you make your opponent discard. You can use this as removal, get rid of annoying cards like Geist of Sanctraft, You can also use these to throw your punishing fires in the graveyard, then pick them straight back up because it doesn't cost you anything. Then we need a set of the most efficient creatures in the game, which is a set of lightning goyfs, a set of Tarmogoyfs for $120 each. These were recently reprinted in Modern Masters. They're very often a 2-mana 4/5 for you because you will play your fetch land, you will play Thoughtseize, you'll look at their hand, you'll throw something in the bin, and then next turn you'll play this Tarmogoyf and it will be at minimum a 2/3, at best a 3/4, maybe a 4/5. And then you're going to want to main deck some hate cards such as Chains of Unpronounceable Names. This makes it so that your opponent gets very confused, they don't know what they're doing, they have no idea what their own cards do anymore. You basically look at them, you say whenever you want to draw cards, if it's not your normal draw step, you're kind of fucked. You've got to throw them all away before you draw them. If you don't have a hand, you mill stuff. You could probably just make something up. They'll roll with it because most people don't have the time of day to read all that card text, especially not during timed rounds. You could probably make up any effects you want and have that run with it, and then if another player comes along and tries to explain it, they'll get equally confused and they'll just go with what you said. So just make up what you want it to say and your opponents won't notice, and that'll win you a bunch of matchups, to be honest. Fantastic utility card. And now we need the fetchable lands for the deck, because we run 8 fetch lands, 4 Grove of the Burn Willows, 4 Wasteland. We've got 7-ish slots left in the deck. So we've got 1 Tiger, because sometimes you do need the red and the green. These are the 2 least important colours, because black is obviously the most with your hate cards, your Lilianas, your Thoughtseizes. It's the most important one that you want, but sometimes you will search up the red-green one because it's most relevant for your situation. Then we have 3 bios, because again, black is the most important thing. And then the last 3 lands of the deck should be 3 bad lands, because black is again the most important thing, but red is also quite important for your punishing fires. So that's our budget Jund deck. You're going to want to make sure that your dual lands are black bordered, because if you run a deck of black bordered cards and then you have some white bordered cards in there, the judges will disqualify your cards and they will draw dicks all over them and then burn them, because it's illegal to play cards that look different to different cards. So I hope that helps some of you that were unsure about that, but it's very important at legacy events to make sure all of your cards have the same border colour, or else you'll go to prison. So that's my budget deck tech for Jund. It runs in at just over $8,000, which is not that much compared to most legacy decks. I really hope it helped you. If you're interested in more Magic the Gathering content, my channel's going to work on more budget brews in the future. I did one for Modern a while back that was mono black with some discards like Wrenchmind. You could go check that out. I think that was $30-40, which is quite expensive for a Mon deck, but I still consider that a budget brew. It's not quite as budget as this is for Legacy though. But thank you guys for watching this video. Like or dislike as you see fit. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!